Good morning, students. So, in the last class, we have seen that Kabuliwala, on the charge of murderous assault, has been arrested, imprisoned for 8 years. And after the release, that is 8 years later, he has been released from the jail. And last evening itself, he has been released from the jail. And immediately after the release, that is very next day morning, directly he didn't go anywhere but directly comes to the house of the narrator, mainly to see that Minnie, mainly to see and talk with that Minnie. So it shows mainly his love, affection, his intimacy, attachment with that little girl. Even though that is 8 years back, he had seen Minnie, a small little girl, with that image only, with that picture. Yes, now also Minnie, she is of the same age, and when he goes, definitely she will come. Oh, Kabuliwala, Kabuliwala. With that hope only, with that love, affection, he comes immediately after the release from the jail. He comes to the house of a narrator. But here in the house of narrator, now Minnie, she's no more a small child, a small girl. She's a grown-up lady, and now that night itself, she's going to be married. But here narrator, though he is a writer, person with broad ideas, wide ideas, but he is also a father. So in that happy occasion, in that auspicious occasion, that Minnie's marriage is going to take place very soon. So in that happy occasion, in that auspicious occasion, he is not ready to welcome a person from the jail, a person who has been considered as, proved as a criminal. So he mainly he just to avoid that Kabuliwala, the narrator, he mainly says, okay, there are ceremonies going on and I am busy. Could you perhaps come another day? At once he turned to go, but as he reached the door, he hesitated and said, may I not see the little one, sir, just for a moment? That is, that Kabuliwala had come to the house of Minnie immediately after the release from the jail, just to see and talk and to spend a few minutes very happily with that Minnie. Mainly because whenever he is with Minnie, he enjoys such a happiness, such a pleasure. So even though the narrator, he has been trying to avoid, he has been trying to send the criminal or Kabuliwala out of the house, but the Kabuliwala, he mainly says, he requests, that is at least for a moment, he wants to see the little one, because in his mind or in his image, that Minnie, still she is only a small girl, and he pictures as her running to him as she used, calling, oh Kabuliwala, Kabuliwala. So with that hope, hope only, he wanted to spend a few minutes with that Minnie. But Minnie, now she is grown up, and also very soon she is going to marry. And he had imagined too that they would laugh and talk together just as of old. And one more thing, that is in memory of former days, he had brought carefully wrapped up in paper a few almonds, raisins, grapes, obtained somehow from a countryman, for his own little fund was dispersed. And one more thing, usually, that is 8 years back, every time whenever he comes to meet Minnie, he used to carry some dry fruits. But this time, till now, for 8 years, he was in the jail, imprisoned. Still, somehow, from his country people, collecting some dry fruits, wrapping them in a old paper, he has come to the house of narrator to give those dry fruits mainly to Minnie. So he wanted to say all those things, but the writer, as already told, the narrator, he wanted just to avoid him, mainly because To the narrator, Kabuliwala only he is a criminal, a person from the jail. Only he had that idea. So the narrator, just to avoid him, once again told, there is a ceremony in the house and you will not be able to see anyone today. The Kabuliwala really was very badly disappointed with that hope, with such emotions, feelings. He had come to see that Minnie, but now he has been disappointed. He was depressed. He looked wistfully at me for a moment, and that is when he realized it is very difficult to see that little one. He wanted to, he was ready to go back, but a few minutes later again he returned and he came close up to me, holding out his offerings and said, I brought these few things, sir, for the little one. Will you give them to her? That is his intention to visit their house, visit the house of narrator, to see Minnie, to spend a few minutes with Minnie, to talk with Minnie, and also to offer to give those dry fruits. So when he didn't get the chance to meet Minnie, he wanted to hand over those dry fruits to the narrator. So he requested, could you give all these dry fruits to my little one? So that is, I took them and was going to pay him. And the narrator, he didn't want to get them free of cost. He wanted to pay. Suddenly, that Kabuliwala, he became so emotional. That is, he caught the hand of the narrator and said, you are very kind, sir. Keep me in your recollection. Do not offer me money. You have a little girl. And now he discloses, now he reveals the reason for which he had such a deep love, intimacy, attachment for that little Minnie. The reason, the secret, it is because of their relationship. It is mainly that he says, the Kabuliwala, he says, I too have one like her in my own home. I think of her and bring fruits to your child, not to make a profit for myself. So here, actually, narrator being a responsible father, yes, that is being a father, he had such a pain when he thinks very soon he is going to be separated from his daughter. But this Kabuliwala, he was also a father, and his little daughter, who is almost of the Minnie's age, she is mainly in his native, that is in Kabul. And by offering dry fruits to Minnie, Kabuliwala feels, yes, he is offering dry fruits to his own daughter. So he treats that little Minnie mainly as his own daughter, mainly because he is missing his daughter a lot. Since Kabul, so it is away from that Kolkata, it is very difficult for him to go that very often. So only once in a year he goes. Meanwhile, he has to be away from his daughter, but each and every minute he remembers that daughter. So whenever he remembers, whenever he thinks of his daughter, he mainly that is wants to spend a few minutes mainly with that Minnie. So he says, yes, he doesn't want to get any money which the narrator wanted to pay. He mainly says he also has a daughter of Minnie's age, and if he is giving the dry fruits, he feels as he is giving dry fruits to his own child, and he doesn't want any profit. It is not his intention to get any profit. Saying this, he put his hand inside his big loose robe, brought out a small and dirty piece of paper. With great care, he unfolded this, smoothed it out with both hands on my table, and it bore the impression of a little hand. It is not a band hand. It is not a photograph, not a drawing, but mainly the impression of an ink smeared hand laid flat on the paper. That is, on that paper, saying that one, immediately Kabuliwala from his dress, from his robe, he brought out a small dirty piece of paper. When he unfolded on that paper, there was a palm of sign of a little palm, ಅಂದರೆ ಕೈದು ಹಸ್ತದ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಆ ಒಂದು ಪೇಪರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಜೊತೆಗೆ that Kabuliwala every time he used to carry that paper on which the impression, the symbol or the sign of the ink smeared hand, palm of his little daughter, it was mainly on that paper. So in those days they hadn't any photograph, they hadn't very rarely they had any photographers. So it was being since Kabuliwala was a very poor person, he hadn't any photos of his daughter. But so even though it is very difficult to be away from his daughter, a little daughter, so just to forget that all those pain, suffering, he used to carry that paper on which the impression, the sign of the palm of his little daughter, ink smeared little palm of his little daughter, it was there. So this touch of his own little daughter had been always on his heart, as he had come year after year in Kolkata to sell his wares in the streets. So by observing all those things, by noticing that picture of his little daughter, now the narrator, he fails to control his emotions. He became so emotional and he says, tears came to my eyes. Now I forgot that he was a poor Kabuliwala. He was a poor Kabuli fruit seller while I was, but no, what was I more than he? Yes, both are the fathers. So Kabuliwala, a father away from his little daughter, and this narrator, he is also a father, very soon going to be departed from his daughter, mainly because that is he started to feel the pain of separation. But this Kabuliwala, every year he has to be departed, and in those 8 years he didn't get the chance to meet his daughter. So now that narrator, he realizes that is his eyes, his inner eyes now have been opened with that emotions, feelings of Kabuliwala. And with those inner eyes, that narrator, he is able to notice the feelings, emotions. And now for narrator, Kabuliwala, he was not only a fruit seller, or he was no more a fruit seller, peddler, street vendor or fruit vendor, but he was a father. And being a father, narrator, he is able to understand the pain, the suffering of a father. So I sent that impression of the hand of his little Parbati. And what is the name of that little girl? Actually it is Parbati. You may call it Parvati, Parbati, Parvati. So Parbati. In a distant mountain home reminded me of my own little Minnie. So immediately, that is when narrator, he was able to realize the emotions, feelings, pain, suffering of Kabuliwala. Immediately he called that Minnie, now who is in her wedding dress. Now she is a bride. Actually till now he has been trying to avoid Kabuliwala, but now he felt he didn't want to commit that mistake. So immediately he called that Minnie, and Minnie, dressed in the red silk of her wedding day, with a sandal paste on her forehead, and adorned as a young bride, she came and she stood bashfully before me. Kabuliwala, actually before seeing Minnie, he had the same image, picture. Minnie means a little small girl who would call, "Oh Kabuliwala, Kabuliwala." But now he was surprised that Kabuliwala looked a little staggered, surprised to see Minnie as a bride. He could not revive their old friendship. At last he smiled and said, "Oh, little one, are you going to your father in law's house?" So now that Minnie, now she is old enough or grown up enough to understand the meaning of father in law's house. That is, she knows very soon she is going to be married. So with that, she became red, mainly because of that shyness, and she flushed up at that question. And that I remember the day when the Kabuliwal and my Minnie had first met. I felt sad. When she had gone, Rahman heaved a deep sigh and sat down on the floor. So here that Minnie, even though earlier days they were very close, they were chatting a lot, they were cracking so many jokes, they were exchanging so many beautiful memories. Yes, but now Minnie, being a grown up, being a bride, she's not in a condition to talk anything more with that Kabuliwala. So Kabuliwala, though he was touched, but he also able to understand Minnie and her situation. And when she had gone, Rahman heaved a deep sigh and sat down on the floor. The idea had suddenly come to him that his daughter too must have grown in this long time, and that he would have to make friends with a new. Assuredly, he would not find her as he used to know her, and besides, what might not have happened to her in these 8 years? So, of course, he was very happy. Kabuliwala was very happy to see Minnie as a bride. But suddenly, what did he remember? He remembered mainly his daughter Parvati in his native. That is, she was also of Minnie's age, more or less Minnie's age. So Minnie now she is a bride. That means his daughter Parvati, now she is also no more a small child. She is also a grown up one. And suddenly he felt very sad to think what might have happened to her in these 8 years, whether his daughter already has been married, whether his daughter is able to remember him, mainly because last when he had seen she was too small. So in the gap of 8 years, who knows what happened? And he had no idea, since he was till now he was in jail. He hadn't any idea, any information about his native, about his family. So suddenly he felt very sad to remember, to think what might have happened to his family, whether they are in a safe condition, whether his daughter already married, whether his daughter able to recognize him or not. So the marriage pipes sounded, and the mild autumn sun streamed round us. But Rahman sat in the little Kolkata lane and saw before him the barren mountains of Afghanistan. And one more thing, even though Kabuliwala now he wants to return to his native, to his home, but the problem, the condition, he hadn't any money to go there. So just in one of that little Kolkata lanes, sitting in some place before some shop, just has been looking at the mountains of Afghanistan, thinking, is it possible for him to go and reach his family, go and join his family? So, but here the narrator, the great generosity of a narrator we can observe. So immediately realizing the horrible condition, the plight, the plight of that Kabuliwala, narrator, he gave some money so that with the help of that money, Kabuliwala, he may return to his native, he may join, he can be united with his family. I took out a banknote, gave it to him, saying, "Go back to your own daughter, Rahman, in your own country, and may the happiness of your meeting bring good fortune to my child." Having made this present, that money, I had to curtail. Here, curtail means cut down some of the festivities. I could not have the electric lights I had intended, nor the military band, and the ladies of the house were disappointed. But to me, the wedding feast was all the brighter for the thought that in a distant land, a long lost father met again with his only child. So, here the narrator cutting down some of the marriage expenses, he gave the money which he has kept for some marriage occasion, for some marriage expenses. And even though most of the people, they were very disappointed for cutting down certain expenses. For example, the electric lights have been cancelled, military band also has been cancelled. That is some things which are not that much important, they have been cancelled. But the money, thus saved money, it was mainly given to that Kabuliwala, so that with the help of that money, Kabuliwala, he may return to his native, he may join his family, and he may spend his days very happily with that his family, especially with his daughter. So even though many people, they teased that or criticized the narrator for cutting down, or for cutting down certain some expenses, or for cancelling certain facilities, the narrator, he didn't feel sad, he didn't feel bad. Instead, he was very happy to think that Kabuliwala, being a father, Kabuliwala, a father, he has now he had become able to join his family. And the narrator, he also felt definitely Kabuliwala's blessing, it will definitely Kabuliwala's blessing, it may give every happiness to his daughter. And here Kabuliwala, the narrator, being a father, yes, he has done his responsibility. And also Kabuliwala, being a father, he has to do his responsibility, he has to do his work with the help of that narrator. Thus here we can observe, as already told in the beginning itself, mainly the close intimacy between father and child, narrator and his little daughter Mini, Kabuliwala and his little daughter Parvati or Parvati. And one more thing, here the writer Rabindranath Tagore also explains the plight of poor people. Suppose Kabuliwala had sufficient money in his native, definitely he might haven't come to India, Kolkata, to sell the fruits or something. He might have spent his days very happily with his family. And also this lesson also indicates, also the conveys one beautiful message, theme, that is mainly the humanity, the concern, the feelings. This lesson, it is also with full of humanity and emotions, feelings. So through that lesson, through this lesson, the writer Rabindranath Tagore, he mainly wants to say we should cut down, we should try to control our extra expenses, and thus saved money should be given, should be distributed among the needy, among the poor, so that they also can lead a very happy life. So we should control our luxurious life, we should try to control the luxury, so thus saved money to be distributed among the poor. Okay, thank you.